Good afternoon, and welcome to Simply Music Indie. I'm Doris Hall James, and I have Jimmy Lee with me here this afternoon. And Jimmy Lee has played with various artists. He's a local artist here in Philadelphia, and he's played with various artists. And we're going to sit with him today and find out a little bit about his music career. Hi, Jimmy.
Hey, Doris, how are you?
It's good to see you.
Good to be seen. I thank you.
And it's been a long time. How many years?
I would put it more at 25. You said a little more.
Yes, yeah. It's been a long time. But I'm glad we're still here and able to talk about your music career. And it's still booming. It was booming years ago, and it's still booming now.
Yeah, I thank our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for withstanding me, and those who are in Ramadan during this month. I stand with you with your fast, and anybody who is serving God for this month, I ask that the Lord would bless you.
Okay. Well, Jimmy, now I know a lot about you, but come on, tell me about yourself. How did you get started in this music journey?
Well, to be quite honest with you, I grew up in Camden, New Jersey, which is the suburbs of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It was a beautiful life and a beautiful time in Camden. I started at Whittier School. I started at the age of 7 years old, learning how to play trombone and learning how to read music. That moved me to a school called Bonsall, which I escalated in my playing. And then I went to Hatch Middle School in Parkside in Camden, New Jersey. I was too good for the junior high school.
I hear that.
And I hear it. Yeah. And the musical director at Hatch Junior High School came to me and told me, because I was in what was called college preparatory classes. And they told me that I was too good for the music was too elementary for me. And back in those days, they prepared you for who you were going to be in life. I had some of my friends became soldiers. Some guys became school teachers, this and that. But it was evident that I was going to be pushed into the musical career, and my parents had condoned it. So fortunately, my music teacher went to the assistant principal, and the assistant principal said, we got to move this guy to the big school where the big players are, which at that time it was Camden High School. So I had to change my major from college preparatory to business because Camden High School didn't have college prep at the 9th grade. So they switched me for 1 year at the 9th grade and matriculated me to Camden High School, where at that time I became a business major. And I moved directly into the Camden High School marching band. I went to the Camden High School prep band, the Camden High School concert band, and the Camden High School jazz band, which was everything. It was everything I hoped it would be, because at that point I couldn't play all of that. It was nothing but uplifting for me, and it was another point for me to reach for. So when I became 16 years old, just on the edge of 17 years old, and a guy from Camden who was the manager of the Ebonies, they had a big hit record out called Forever.
And they were from Camden too.
And they were from my hometown.
Okay.
Now remember, I'm 16, right in between 17 years old at Camden High School. He came to my house at 9th Street, talked to my mother and father, and asked me, could I join the Ebonies band? And my mother right away said, no, he's too young. I don't want him in bars or clubs. My father said, no, he overruled my mother and said, this is our son's break.
Oh, okay.
Let him go, but let's do it with stipulations. So the stipulations were that I had to stay outside of the club until showtime, and then they would bring me in the back door, and I would go right on stage.
Okay.
Or I could sit in the corner of the club, but I could never be at the bar or around the bar area.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It didn't last long, but it lasted.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay.
it was. I had a wonderful childhood. I fortunately grew up very poor, but praise be to God, as a child going up into my early teens, I never ever knew I was poor.
Yeah.
I never experienced.
That's the same thing. That's the same thing with me. I never know.
But looking backwards and being able to reverse my mind, I realized that I was actually poor. I never realized that when my mama said we're going to have pancakes and syrup for dinner, and I was like, yeah. I didn't realize that we actually didn't have any chicken or pork chops. Or fried bologna. I didn't realize that we actually did not have. I remember when a big thing came out called powdered milk.
Oh yeah,
and my mother would have us take a carton of real milk, where the seal test guy actually delivered it to your house at that time.
Milkman.
And I would cut it in half and mix it in half, 50-50, to stretch our milk. And these are the things that I remember that point to that how poor we were. But I'll tell you, we all had those in the black community focused on Christmas and Easter. I can't remember ever going without an Easter suit or new shoes for Easter.
Isn't that great?
Yeah,
that's great.
And I can't ever remember not having a Christmas tree and an abundance of toys and clothes and socks and underwears. And later in life, when I started having children for myself, my mother told me the secret of how she did it, because I come from, it was 7 of us. Yeah. So there are 12 months in a year. So my mother took 1 month and did 1 kid each month.
Oh, that was great.
And that's how we had a fantastic Easter and Christmas and stuff like that.
How did you get, well, tell me, so Ebony's were your first group?
No, my first group was a local group called the New Side of Town. Okay. We worked at Germantown Avenue. As you know from Philly, all up and down Germantown Avenue was laid out with outside people selling pig feet and ribs and all of these things. And back when we came through, there were trucks and stuff from where Broad and Germantown crossed. From there all the way up the hill through Germantown, there was fast food outside stuff till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. You could get a rib sandwich or anything. And my group, the New Side of Town, we worked the Germantown Circuit, the Broad Street Circuit. There were some really, really hot clubs in North Philadelphia that we worked. We used to open for the Tramps. We used to open for, Oh,
that's amazing.
Yeah. We used to open for the guy that sings with the Temptations now, light-skinned fella. He sang with a group in Philadelphia. I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but we used to open for them at the Cadillac Club.
I remember that club.
Yeah. So, you know, and you had just Giuseppe Garibaldi's club. Had this real high stage, and you always felt like you were going to fall off the stage. But it was so high because the place was very elongated. So they made a very high stage. You had to walk up like 12 steps. And then you played way up in the air, and it was very nice. It was different. It was very nice.
So after you left them, then who did you go with?
After I left them, I got pulled with the Ebonies.
Okay, that's when you went with the Ebonies.
Right. Okay.
And
now let me tell you something about that.
What?
I was in Camden High School, and I made $150 a weekend playing with the Ebonies. On Friday night. Friday night, I did 2 shows on Friday night. On Saturday night, I did 2 shows at the Apollo in Camden, New Jersey, at 9th and Jefferson. And then on Sunday, we did 3 shows. We did a matinee for little kids, which was free. And they gave out soda and all kinds of stuff for little kids. And then we did our 2 nightly shows. So I did 3, 4, 5, 6. I did 7 shows with the Ebonies on the weekend for $150. So I would go, I would be done, and I would miss, or I would be late to school on Monday because I was in Camden High School. Now I'm in my sophomore year, my 10th. I'm in the 10th grade, making $150 a weekend when a loaf of bread was 35 cents.
Well, when you were with these groups, were you playing the trombone, or were you singing? What were you doing?
I actually was one of the backup artists for the Ebonies.
Okay.
And I
you
played,
were actually singing.
No, well, I sang a little light background, not very much, but I played trombone and saxophone, which is where Larry James, a.k.a. Fat Larry, saw me performing with the Ebonies band and the backup. At that time, I remember what made him bring me into Blue Magic was that he saw me play two horns at one time. He saw me play a brass instrument, and then he saw me play a woodwind instrument, and he said, that's impossible. Nobody's mouth could handle a piece of wood and then put your mouth up to a piece of steel brass. He said, I gotta have you. That's what he said. He said, you have to join Blue Magic's group, the Magic of the Blue.
The Magic of the Blue, right. Yep. The name of their group was the Magic of the Blue.
Now remember, in my hometown, I was already a big star. And back to the Ebonies. I made $150 a weekend for those total shows. Okay. I gave my mother a $100 bill every weekend, and I would go to school at Camden High School with a $50 bill in my pocket. Now, sometimes I didn't spend any money, so I'd be up to $200-300. Now, in the lunchroom back then, they had a thing called a lunch ticket, and they would take a stapler thing and punch a hole in it, and you could get your food. It was mandated by the federal government. I didn't have a lunch ticket. I had a $50 bill.
All right.
So when the woman opened the till up to give me change for the $50 bill for a hoagie or whatever they had that day, they didn't have no money in there. And they just would wave me on. Just go ahead. We know who you are.
All right.
Those were great moments.
Okay then. So you started performing with Fat Larry's band. Now,
well, we were the Magic of the Blue then.
Yeah, it was the Magic of the Blue.
Yeah, it was a while before we became Fat Larry's band. But what is interesting that most people don't understand is how did the name Fat Larry's band become Fat Larry's band?
Well, you tell me. Tell us about that.
While on tour with Earth, Wind, and Fire, we would always be out, or while on tour with the Temptations, we did a week or two in New York at the Apollo with the Temptations. What most people don't understand is that the Magic of the Blue was the band who did the recordings. We're on the Blue Magic Records. We're on the Live Records. Right. Latin Casino, Radio Music Hall. We're on all of them. We're on I'm Chasing Rainbows, all of those songs. We're on the Double Dutch Bus, Frankie Smith. We're on all of those songs. Yes. And we were the house band for WMOT Records. But back to how the Magic of the Blue name became Fat Larry's band. The group was never supposed to be called Fat Larry's band. We were supposed to be a spin-off group from Blue Magic.
Correct.
The name of the group that was to come out from Blue Magic, because we were on tour with Blue Magic, was we were supposed to be the Magic of the Blue. That didn't happen because the group gained so much momentum and so much fame. Our leader of our group, Larry James, a.k.a. Fat Larry, people would identify him, and whenever they wanted the band to do something, they would say, "You see that guy over there?" And then he got the nickname Fat Larry. They said, the guy over there, and they would point and say, the fat guy, Fat Larry. So then, as we were being catapulted around the country, it caught on, and people would say, get Fat Larry's band. So then we play behind the Delphonics, and Poogie and them would say, Fat boy, come here, Fat Larry, come here. And we would get backup jobs for the Delphonics and stuff. So the name Fat Larry's band caught on. So then we became so famous as a band. Alan Rubens and Steve Bernstein, who were also the managers for Blue Magic, decided to still make us a spin-off group, and we became a spin-off group under the name of, they said, we're going to use that, Fat Larry's Band. That's how the name came about.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and that's when I met Fat Larry, right?
I was there the day you met Fat Larry.
Were you there?
Yes, I was.
Okay, so
you were sitting behind a desk. You were a secretary at a company.
Oh, I hired him.
And you hired us.
I hired the band. That's right. That's what I did.
I was standing.
That's what I did.
I remember the day.
Yeah.
I remember the day you were young and gorgeous.
Oh,
and
get
Fat
out.
Larry flipped. He started doing flips and backflips. And me and Larry, we lived together. We shared an apartment
you did.
together.
Yeah, I remember that too.
And Larry, all he did was talk about you. Drove me crazy.
Isn't that something? I remember needing a band for a girl I was working with.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I got in contact with him, but I did. And I hired his band, you guys, for the session.
I was standing
Isn't that
there.
great?
I was standing there the day he laid eyes on me.
Mm-hmm.
He drove me crazy about you.
Well, you know what?
You think you look good now?
Oh! Thank you.
Woo! Doris was hot. Look at that picture of her right there. That's her standing next to me.
This was an album.
Yep.
Was that the first album Fat Larry did, Off the Wall?
Yeah, that's not Off the Wall.
Which one was this? Feel It. And we were on Woodland Avenue? We were on Woodland Avenue?
Yep. See that yellow car there? That's my car.
That was our whole gang right up here.
Yep.
And this song below here, that's the first song I wrote that was published. And that was with Lynn Barry.
Yep.
Yeah, we did that with Lynn Barry.
We got Erskine Williams. That's me in the middle with my hands up in the air. Look how skinny I was. And next to me is Erskine Williams. Erskine left us and went with Rick James, which is how that's how we got to know Rick James. When Rick James tour buses would come in town, Erskine would call us and say, I'm going to be at the Spectrum. And we would meet him down the Spectrum and hang out with him and stuff. Yeah.
There were some fun times. So when you left Fat Larry's band, how did your career, it spun again? And tell me what you did after that.
I toured as an original member of Fat Larry's band when I left. I did a lot of work in Canada. In Canada, there were a lot of in-house jobs where you could work for 10 or 15 days and they would house you. They were basically strip clubs. And they would have women, and see, the laws are different in different countries. And back then in Canada, things were wide open, much as they are in the United Kingdom in different segments. And they would house us above the club. The club would be an entire city block. And not only did the dancers rotate in and out, they had places where the dancers, they all had their rooms, then we had our rooms. And the rooms were only big enough to put a drawer to put your clothes and a bed the size for just one person. There was no walk around room. The rooms were just cut up so that they could house people. And those are the jobs I did. And it was a wonderful time. I learned a lot. It's you learn a lot when you have to make payroll, when you have to meet payroll. You know, it's very intense because at the end of the week, people want their money. They want to be able to send their money home. Right. And you're the person that's responsible for making their payroll,
Well, a couple of things I wanted to ask you. What does Bob Pantana, what is he doing for your music career now?
Well, Bob is right now the guy who promotes me. He signs all of my my deals for wherever I perform at. I'm basically signed to Bob Pantana directly. Bob Pantana, wherever he appears at, is the Bob Pantana Dance Party. He has several other artists that are on the dance party, such as the Soul Survivors with Expressway to Your Heart. And he has a very good, nice-looking blind guy, Michael, who sings opera and stuff like that. And I'm his biggest star. So I normally open up If he opens in a new place, I'm the first star he brings in. On all of our concerts in South Philadelphia, the Italian concerts, the outside concerts, all of the ones with the mega stages, I either come in as the Jimmy Lee Show, fueled by Bob Pantana, or I'll come in as the Tramps tribute starring Jimmy Lee, or I come in as Blue Magic. So those are the three genres that he books me as.
Okay, now when you say the Tramps, is that the review?
We don't own the name Tramps. The Tramps are owned by a lawyer who plays piano for one of the other three Tramps. There are, as what most people don't understand is that most of these senior groups that have had hits from mega movies or 30 or 40 years ago, which the music is still hot, you still have a large following. There are no original groups. The groups are people pass away, people have to be replaced, things of that nature. You only have original groups. I have seen, I know who Earth, Wind & Fire is because they're friends of ours. As we all know, Maurice is not here. They have three of the guys who are touring, but there are other Earth, Wind & Fire groups that tour as tribute groups of Earth, Wind & Fire. Okay. And they're working their butt off, just like there's a Donna Summers. We all know Donna Summers is gone, but there's a girl that looks just like Donna Summers. She's a personal friend of mine. She works all of the big shows as a tribute to Donna Summers, as I also do as a tribute to the Tramps. As most people know, the original Tramp, Mr. Jimmy Ellis, has been passed away for a number of years, the lead singer. I sound just like him. And people often, because my first name is Jimmy, they often come to me and say, I remember when I saw you 30 years ago and you sound just like yourself. But I don't bust people's dreams. They bought a ticket. We go out as a tribute to the Tramps starring Jimmy Lee, and people believe what they want to believe. But if you really push me to the wall, I really have to then at that point tell you, Mr. Ellis has passed away. I'm doing a tribute to him, and you have to understand, I'll be 65 next year. Mr. Ellis would be almost 90.
Well, you know, I was talking to Alfie one day.
Yeah,
you know Alfie, right?
Yeah, sure.
And
good guy, hell of a piano player.
Yeah, and he was telling me, he said he was telling me about Jimmy Lee, and you tried out for the Tramps or something.
Yeah,
like
I actually got the job.
You got the job.
Yeah.
And I said, well, does he sound like the lead singer? He said, yes, he does.
Yeah.
He said he was the best one. He was the best one.
Yeah.
And you actually got that job.
Yeah.
You had it going on.
Yeah.
Now, how about Blue Magic? I mean, how did you get to do the tribute for Blue Magic?
Well, I'm actually technically I'm technically original member of Richard Pratt's Blue Magic. Richard Pratt is an original member of Blue Magic, and he's the short, real handsome guy in all the pictures. And I got a call from him to come down to the Carolinas and start Blue Magic with him, which I became an original member of that, which I sing second tenor with that. And then we went into dance rehearsals, and for about 3, 4, 5 years, I was an original member of Blue Magic, starring Richard Pratt. And down the road, as things go, we're all grown men, we're grandfathers and parents. Yeah. People separate and split. So out of the 4 of us, Richard went his way, and the other 3 of us stayed, and we just replaced Richard. So now we are booked for the entire summer as a tribute to Blue Magic, starring Mr. Ivory Bell and myself, because I'm an original member of the Magic of the Blue, and Mr. Ivory Bell is part of the original Blue Magic. He took Ted Mills' place. So he sang with the original Blue Magic. We have a phenomenal show. When you come, it is, we are Blue Magic.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. So for me, for a guy like me, it's coming from being 6 foot away from being in a star to actually now I am the star. Now I am on the front line. Now for the Tramps, I am the lead singer. Now for Blue Magic, I am one of the guys in the top hats up front. And everything for me has come full circle. Whether it's a tribute act, doesn't matter what it is. But you know, one of my other loves is teaching in the school system. I teach reading and writing of school because don't forget, I started my career at 7 years old learning how to read music. So I eventually learned how to write music because it was just a no-brainer. So I eventually was able to teach myself to play some sorts of piano so that I could write what I needed to write for the original songs, and which hopefully you'll play the title track to my new movie. The name of it is Camden, and I wrote everything, and you're going to love it. I
know I am.
You're going to love it.
So you're writing songs now?
Yeah, I'm not only writing them, I'm writing them for myself because I know what my expectations are and what I need to do, and I'm looking to make sure that when I come off the stage, I'm looking to start writing for television and movies.
And this movie that you've done, it's called Camden.
No, the name of the movie is it's a movie of my life.
Of your life.
Yes, it's a feature film, and they're filming it currently. They're filming some of it in Florida, and they're filming some of it in Camden, New Jersey. And the film is basically going to be made like the James Brown film was made.
All right.
We're using that as a roadmap.
Well, you go on. That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
And all of the music will be original music, because I don't own the rights to any of the songs from Fat Larry's band. So I've written all new music for it, but the story, there are no lies in the story. Everything that you see on the screen will be completely true. There will be nothing that will be blown up, or because there's enough truth in this story of the things that happened to us, like when we broke down in the desert. I mean, who broke down in the desert?
You got drama.
You know, who broke down in the desert? You know, I did. We did. You know, how your husband used to snore, all that kind of stuff. You know? When I got snore, man.
But you know, I haven't seen you, but I've been like following you.
Oh, bless you.
Throughout your whole career.
Yeah.
And I kept saying, "Oh, he's doing this, he's doing that, he's doing that." And I was very, very proud because a lot of the members of the band, they're no more. You know, they may be doing little things, little things, but their career is not booming like yours is.
Yeah, I have springboarded. I made sure that I watched Fat Larry. I watched him because we lived together. And but he had the biggest bedroom. I had the little bedroom.
What do you expect?
and I watched him. He took me by the hand and would take me to business meetings and say, "This is Jimmy. He's in the band. He's gonna sit in. Any problem with that?" And I would sit there and I watch him cut deals. I would go in with Lloyd Remick, and Lloyd Remick would be talking to Fat Larry, and I would see how the deal was cut, and I would see how things are. That's why today Lloyd Remick knows me. Alan Rubens and Steve Bernstein would send me to WDS radio to whatever it was to see Butterball. So before Butterball died, wherever I saw Butterball would say, "Hey, Jimmy Lee, how you doing?" Everybody would be like, "How about I know that guy's name?" And because Larry put me in a position to be able to, where people would trust me and people would be able to see that I was the guy, and then people would say, "Send Jimmy," and then I wouldn't mess up.
Yeah.
See, and then I would always have an opportunity. I could pick the phone up right now today, and Lloyd Remick would take my call. A lot of people can't say that. I could pick the phone up right now today, and Alan Rubens would take my call. I could pick the phone up right now today. Steve Bernstein would take my call. All these people are still relevant, and they're doing different things. People don't know that Alan Rubens is the guy who puts the star on Broad Street. People don't know that he's the guy that says who gets a star on Broad Street. He's the president of that organization. And when I saw Alan, when Bob Pantana got his star, along with Patti LaBelle and LaBelle, that was this summer. When I saw Alan treated me.
Oh, that's good.
He treated me with so much love and so much respect. When I saw him at the private after party, he grabbed me by the hand and took me and introduced me to his children and his wife and everybody, and took me around to all the other artists and said, this is Jimmy from this guy's from Blue Magic. He's Fat Larry's band, and y'all don't know it, but he's on all the hits.
Yeah, and you guys played on all of them.
When Damon Harris left the Temptations and signed with WMOT Records, that's us on his records. Remember on the back of it was rhinos? There were pictures of rhinos on the back of the album.
I don't remember. Yeah.
Well, under that where the credits are, you'll see our names.
Well, I know, when I met you guys, you were doing a lot of things then. And then it just boomed. It boomed until Larry kept saying, we want our own. We want our own. And finally he got his own. And all of you guys were so proud. You did so wonderful.
He grew a beard and wouldn't cut his beard until the song was hit. He said, I'm not going to cut my beard, so I'm doing the same thing.
He was so proud. He was proud of all of you. And I know if he could be here now, he would say, he would say how proud he is, that you kept on, and because you kept his name going, because you did a lot of performing for him. And over there in Europe, people were over there using his name. Yep. They were all over. I would get word that they were all over using Fat Larry's name.
Well, we're going to, hopefully you'll go with me. Are you
going back? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I can't go for, Bob Pantana got me booked. Okay. I'm booked here for the whole summer. So the plan is, so I'm going to tell the plan on live.
You're going to tell the plan live? Okay. All right. Okay.
The plan is me and you. We going to Europe.
We're going to Europe?
Yeah, me and you. Okay. Because we're the real Fat Larry's band. And we're going to take it all.
Well, I would love to go. It's been many, many years.
We're going to take it all.
But I would love to go. I would accept that invitation and go right on to Europe, right?
That's right. And before I leave out of here, we're going to do a couple promos because they're asking for promos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, tell me, you have a single out. Is that it? Do you have a single out, or is it?
I have two singles out. Okay. I have the live version of Zoom, which finished, I believe, #2 in the United Kingdom, and now that's going out with my voice as lead on it, and it's the same arrangement. It was written by Bobby Eli and Lynn Barry, and they did a wonderful job as they wrote all of the big hits for Blue Magic and the other groups. I believe they mixed it. They wrote 75% of the big hits. Okay. So I've redone Zoom with different musicians, but the same format, but I made it a cha-cha.
Hey, that's my thing. That's it.
I made it a cha-cha. And to make it a cha-cha, instead of being in 4/4 time, for those of us who read and write music, I just changed the time signature to 2/4.
Okay, now just talking about Zoom, that was originally done by Freddie Campbell. Right. I want to give a shout out to Freddie Campbell, who was a great singer and an inspiration. He was an inspirational in my life. He always had faith in what I was doing. When I met Freddie Campbell, Larry brought him on as no. I brought Freddie Campbell on. Okay. I brought him on. And I kept telling Larry, I said, this is a guy that you need to listen to. Oh, no, I don't want to listen to that. So one day, Freddie came to our home in Sicklerville.
On the corner?
Yeah.
Corner house.
Yeah. And he started singing. That was the last time Freddie ever worked with me, because Larry took him right away.
Right.
You know, and Freddie had Act Like You Know.
Right.
That was another song that he sang later.
Yeah, Freddie did a phenomenal job, and may the Lord bless him as he rests in peace. But I don't want anybody to get it twisted that that's my voice, because the song is such a big hit. I had to put it out with my voice on the lead. So thank you, Freddie, for the roadmap, because I followed your roadmap, and you will hear the live version of Fat Larry's Band Zoom with Jimmy Lee on it. And thank you, Freddie, for the roadmap. I followed your roadmap. And
I want to say thank you to Wanda Campbell, which is his wife.
Okay.
Because she was very inspirational in his career.
Way to go, Wanda. Okay. I didn't meet her.
Okay, you never met Wanda?
Hope to see you soon.
Okay. Now, you know, Jimmy, what words of inspiration do you have for upcoming artists? You know, what would you tell them to help them inspire their career?
I just spoke at community high school, set up like a college on Cross Keys Road in New Jersey. I just spoke there, and I'm going to repeat the same message that I left them with. It's a very simple message, and it's a very easy message that doesn't go over the top of people's head. I believe in speaking to people with a common denominator. Saying all of that, here it is. Never give up. Keep it real easy. Only surround yourself with people who uplift you. If someone says you can't do it, get away from them. If someone says to you, you can do it, what can I do to help you? Then you include them on the inside of your circle. There's two different parts of a circle. There's an inside of the circle, and then there's the outer part of the circle. Some people you have to keep at arm's length. Some people you keep close to your breast. And those that you keep close to your breast are the ones who are fueling you and that are constantly telling you, never give up. You can do it. You can make it. It is in you. And I remember I was at the Uptown Theater watching the 5 Stairsteps, and my mother, and I said to my mother was alive then, and I said to my mother, I said, Mommy, I can do that. And my mother said, show me.
Okay.
So
you put the ball in your court.
Okay.
So I showed her.
Okay. Well, you know, one other thing is I want to shout out to the Ingrams, you know, cousins. You know, have you done any work with them lately?
Yeah, we did a benefit for Ideal Culture and Arts of Camden, New Jersey, at Adelphia's. And it was a wonderful thing. My version of the Tramps opened for them. Okay. And we looked into our history of who we are, and Butch Ingram, Jimmy Ingram, Billy Ingram, Carla, and all of them are my first cousins by blood. We hold the same grandfather. And on my side of the family, their grandfather, who was the Ingram, did not marry my grandmother, which her name still remained Miller instead of being changed to Ingram. Otherwise, my mother's name would be Ingram. And our grandfather is buried around the corner from my house in Lawnside, New Jersey, in the burial ground. I have 2 blocks from my home.
Okay.
Isn't that something?
Isn't it? I didn't know that until you told me that they were your cousins.
Yeah, they're not. You know how people say, "Hey, cousin."
Yeah.
That's not like it with us. Okay. We're blood cousins. We're for real cousins, and they are so talented
and good to work with. Yeah, they're great to work with.
Let me tell you this: the Ingrams are horn players. Butch Ingram is a trumpet player. Butch Ingram is a trumpet player who realized that he couldn't get much work as a trumpet player, so he learned how to play bass. Billy Ingram is a trombone player, and I could never play as well as him. That's why we argued all the time. And he realized he couldn't get much work as a trombonist because I had it all tied up. He learned how to play guitar. Then the other one learned how to play drums. And Jimmy Ingram is a saxophone player. He is one of the best saxophone players around, but there was no saxophone player jobs for him because the guys from MFSB had it all tied down. So he learned how to play piano. So now the Ingrams have a full rhythm section. Now they went on to learn, there was maybe a few years that they were trying to form themselves together. But today they are one of the biggest and formidable rhythm sections in the tri-state area because they took from being a horn player, they recognized what was going on in the music industry and they matriculated to where they needed to be. So now Butch Ingram has a stellar recording studio.
His own record label.
In his mega home, that I've been fortunate to be in. A beautiful wife, a young kid who is gorgeous. His daughter, she's drop dead gorgeous. If she hits the stage, you can't take your eyes off of her. She's been on tour in London and all these places, and she's got a pretty big hit out. Her father, who is Butch Ingram, owns his own record label. They own their own studio. And I mean, they have a fantastic studio over there. I'm not telling you what people tell me. I've been there. That's my family.
Well, I'm glad we have this interview, and I've really enjoyed it. I've learned a lot about what you're doing now. And I'm really glad that you came in and interviewed with Simply Music and Philly Live Radio. And I'm going to keep following you until we get to that.
Okay, so you want to hear the real big news?
Okay, tell me the real big news.
Can you hear the real big news?
Tell me now.
I just offered my own television show.
Oh, I'm on it.
Okay.
I'm on it. That's the big news.
And I was also offered a 1-hour radio broadcast to back up my television show.
Okay, so when are we going to start getting ready for that?
I'm leaving here, and I'm on my way down there to do my first interview.
All right. Well, congratulations. That's big news, huh? Yeah, congratulations with that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. And I thank you, Jimmy. Give me a hug.
Give me a hug. Pretty girls just want to hug the old man. Oh, bless your heart. It's so good to see you.
It's good to see you, too.
Don't she look good, guys?
I'm trying, right?
Out there running and jumping and all on the treadmills. I see.
Okay. Go ahead.
To young people, look me in my face and just say, never give up, never give up, never give up. And if anyone is against you in your hopes and your dreams, get away from them.
Amen. Okay.
And we are out. That's it.
You happy with that?
Great.
You happy with that?
Yes. Now, when are we going in this television program?
I'm jumping on that. At 3:30, I'm supposed to be on the air, but I'm gonna tell them I'm going to 4. But I want you to play. Can you play that for me? Can you play?
Which one?
You got them both now. You got to give me one back.
I gave you.
You gave me one.
Okay.
Whichever one you got loaded, can you play that?
Mm-hmm.
What's that? Oh, that's the new. That's the theme song from the movie.
It's good time.
Yeah, play that. I wanted to hear it.
It's like 2:30.
Reason why I want you to hear this is because I want you to hear what I had between my ears, and I want you to hear where the chord structures of where I'm coming from. Okay. And I want you to check out how I arrange things, and you'll get me. You'll be like, damn, Jimmy, I get you.
Okay.
Can you turn it up too?
Yes, sir. You want to sing it?
No. I'm singing on it.
You singing on it?
Yeah, I'm singing legal.
Right now, it's ripping.
Excellent interview.
Yeah, it was. Nice to see you.
You got enough guitars, man?
Bass guitar is my thing. Doris teaches, and you want to learn how to play guitar, come see her.
I might want to learn how to play bass.
When you take in the people that done it.
This is the title track to my movie. We are Camden, we are stronger.
Jimmy, you got
We are the good and the bad. We are the strong and the weak. We are the best of the best. Cha-cha. Listen to us sing. It's only the perfect harmony. Nights are long and the sun comes up. I love this town. Help us win, help us win. We are just beginning to fight. Let the bells ring. Let the bells ring and the band play. Because we're just beginning to fight. We are Camden and we are strong. We are the Panthers and we are Woodrow Wilson High. We are Campbell Soup and Broadway. We are Woolworths in the corner store. We are Woolworths in the corner store. Singing la 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 la. Singing la 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 la. Singing la 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 la. We are Camden, we are stronger. We are the good and the bad. We are the strong and the weak. We are the best of the best. Listen to us sing. It's only the perfect harmony. Nights are long and the sun comes up. I love this town. Check out the modulation. Help us win. Help us win. Check the tunnel out.
yes. That's nice.
We are just beginning to fight. Let the bells ring. Let the bells ring and the band play. Because we're just beginning to fight. We are Camden and we are strong. We are the Panthers and we are Woodrow Wilson High. We are Campbell Soup and Broadway. We are Woolworths in the corner store. And we are coming out in the corner store. Singing la 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 la. Singing la 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 la. Singing la 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 la. Singing la 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 la. I can't believe that just
That's nice. That's nice. That's nice.
All good.
We just get another friend, but I have a lot of you guys stuff that I need to do like that. Put it up like that.
I heard so much about you, Jimmy, for the time that I've been working with Doris.
Now play Zoom.
Play Zoom?
Yeah, because we
wanted to hear.
We kept in contact all these many years.
I want her to hear Zoom with me singing the lead.
Okay.
And then you'll get a taste of what my voice is, and you ought to hear me sing the Sweet Thunder song.
Baby, I need your love today. I wanted to do that song, so I
Change the key.
I kept telling
Baby, I need your love today. In the morning. It's gotta be real. Gotta be a big voice. It's gotta be a big voice.
Where is he? I don't think so.
Wait till you hear me sing soon. You're gonna the reason why I want you to hear these things is because I want you to believe in the project in the UK. I want you to get behind it and understand that I really can do it.
I know you can do it.
No, but you never heard what people say and what you actually
what Alfie
hear.
tells me.
Oh, shit.
Alfie tells me. Could you turn up just a little bit?
Okay.
He's such a critic.
Okay. You hear me sing the tramp stuff. Woo! Just one look and then my heart went boom. Right there. We were on the moon.
Don't sound like it.
Under the sky. Oh, bang. Just one touch and all the church bells rang. Heaven called and all the angels sang. Sunrise shine on the midnight sky. Oh, oh, the moon and stars came out to play, and then my whole wide world went to just one look, and then my heart went down. Suddenly we were on the moon, flying high on the neon sky. Oh, bang, just one touch and all the church bells rang. Heaven called and all the angels sang. Did I pick the tempo? Tonight shine in the midnight sky. Is it a little more?
Yeah.
Change the night away. I knew the moon and stars came out to play, and then my whole wide world went higher and higher.
Sing it.
Flying high, faster and faster, we were higher and high. For once in my lifetime, I was finally free, and you came back to me. Oh, you changed the day of our way. I knew the moon and stars came out to play. Oh, you changed the day of our way. I knew the moon and stars came out to play.
Great job. That's a great job.
Where's he at? Where's he at? Where's he at? Is Jimmy Lee here? Where's he at? So I don't do anything unless there's a reason behind it. The reason behind this is that I want you to understand and hear the quality in my voice and know that when you call your connections in Europe, that I can deliver. Sure. You see, because if me just talking, oh yeah, Doris, I can do it. I sound like this, I do that. That don't mean nothing. Only thing that means something is if you can say, Jimmy can deliver.
Right, because I've heard, I listen, and I understand.
And I saw him. Mm-hmm. He looks good. He sounds good. He's in good health. Don't forget, Jimmy's the youngest guy from the original guys. I was the baby.
You're the baby, yeah.
You see, everybody else was older than me, but not more talented.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. So that's that. The deal is we need to work here in the summertime, and we need to work in London and the UK in the winter. That's where we need to be at.
And that's what the money is.
Well, it ain't a whole lot of money.
Well,
it's
Was
steady.
to us. Well, it's steady money.
Steady.
But it was to us because we couldn't get any work here to pay it anything.
No. It's
Okay.
steady.
Well, now, Gilbert, you have a copy of these too?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna put them in.
Punch him, Gilbert. Can I see your face? I can't play it.
Oh,
Don't
yes.
plug it up. Unplug it.
All right, go ahead, man.
So, you changed my way.
You had this made. You had that made.
No.
It's not bad for you.
That was good. That was good.
Right here. Got the book.
Make it right.
To the right.
Uh,
Okay.
I called you. Oh, excuse me. I called Butch for an interview.
Mm-hmm.
He said he's gonna let me know. Not England. I can't get him. I was trying to get him.
Well, you might now.
He keep calling. Yeah, I gave him a question, and he keeps calling me and call me late at night and tell me, "Oh, I didn't forget it back to now 11 o'clock. I go to bed 8:30."
Well, now you can tell him to,
Yeah.
to listen to the interview that you did with
Yeah.
him, and maybe that will keep
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. But he'll call me. I'm coming next week. I'm calling. I'm half asleep. I said, I know you're not coming. Yes, I'm coming. I don't hear from him for another 2. Then he called at 11:30. But hopefully he'll come. But Butch Davis, who sang with Double Exposure, and Bobby Eli, he's the next one we're trying to get. And he said he'll let me know that next week.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we don't have a lot to do with it.
On this one, he did about 40 minutes, and then put 2 songs in there. You just need to do your intro.
Yeah, that wasn't very long.
And we can do that.
I started to cry. It brought back a lot of memories, you know. I started to cry. You know. But that was one of the most exciting times in my life. When you think of like things that happened during your life and all that, I think that was the most, because that's something that I wanted to do. That my parents were the opposite. My dad said no. My mom said okay.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but that brought back a lot of memories.
That's nice.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was off the wall. He said that's for
You
sure.
got a trash can, sir?
Yeah, straight to that.
There's Jessica. My girlfriend Jessica.
Jessica? Yeah, okay. All right.
Which one of these pianos is up?
We always
Is
want
it a piano mode?
Oh, really?
this
Come
one
on, let
here.
me turn it up.
No.
Go ahead.
Listen to this.
Go ahead.
Listen to this, Doris. Then bass part goes for a movie. That's a movie.
So you want to go in film production?
Yeah, when I
That's
come
what
off
you-
a stage, I want to be able to write
Okay.
for movies and production. So that, imagine that part with somebody and a horse and a buggy being drawn.
You know who's doing that?
Who?
Larry the Best.
There you go. So
Yeah.
these are the kind of song. This is the kind of stuff you hear in movies. Like, oh, what happened? David died. We go to.
like to be. I never knew you could play. I hold it dear because I hold it dear. There's something about it that makes me go wild. There's something about it. I need to put the song on today. Before it, I need to put it down today. Modulation.
You sing.
That's good. What's the name of that?
I named it.
Do it again. Do it again.
That's good.
I'm gonna never make this.
You got it. You got to get the program going. You got to get the TV show. Oh yeah, I got it all. I got my mind made up. What I'm gonna do today? I'm gonna get up in the morning, fix my breakfast, go out on the town, and da 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 because I sing all I feel. This is how I feel today. This is how I feel, and ain't nobody gonna take it away, because nobody's gonna take it away. Good sing along, we can sing all night.
I gotta get to the next spot. I have no idea how to get there. Oh, here.
We didn't take our picture.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we take our picture together?
Yep. You guys come to that?
June 12th.
Yeah, I got a thing that I'm doing for kids in Africa.
Oh, Deptford. That's right, Deptford.
Uh-huh. So here's the...
Okay, let's take a picture. We're going to sit and stand.
I'm going to need Doris, you right here. Jimmy over here on my left.
Okay, I'm right here.
Step in. Step in.
Step in.
All right.
Okay. Step in.
Your camera, my camera.
Oh, you want us to turn it to you?
No. You're going to be facing that way, but turning your head looking this way.
Oh, look that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All righty then. 1, 2. All right.
Okay, put them up on Facebook right away. I gotta go.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm so angry at this book.
Thank you, Jeff.
I'm so angry at this book. But I'm gonna have to put the next one, but I'm gonna have to put the plexiglass. I don't have to worry about that. That is plexiglass. Let's do it. Oh, they're great. So like that, I know. When I see you.
Your phone, you turned it off.
Yeah, I turned it off because, you know, it may ring or something.
Good to see you. Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you. Oh, is it raining?
Well, I'm not going to walk yet.
That's all right.
Yeah, I'll call you. You stay in contact.
Put the picture right up.
All right.
Lovely picture.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Yep.
Be careful. Be safe. Ronnie? Oh, that was Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy.
You all right? Okay. Got that one.
Okay. So,
Okay, so now get out of this.